வாழ்க வளமுடன். Very happy to hear. வாழ்க வளமுடன்.
Thank you.
வாழ்க வளமுடன் ஐயா.
Exactly. Very happy. Extremely happy.
ஒரே போன்ல கேக்குறேன்.
முரளி வாழ்க வளமுடன். நம்ம ஆளுக்கு நான் சார் அனுப்பியிருந்தேன், லிங்க் அனுப்பியிருந்தேன், ஜாயின் பண்றாங்க.
Yes. Okay, thanks so much.
வாழ்க வளமுடன்.
Good evening.
ராஜ்மோகன் வாழ்க வளமுடன்.
Hello, good evening to everybody.
Yeah.
Evening to one and all. On behalf of Philosophy family, I extend a hearty welcome to all the scholars and teachers of different disciplines across the country and abroad to be associated with the virtual academic program of Philosophy family. Today, our guest speaker is Professor Alagar Ramanujan. I bow down before him for his presence with us to deliver on a very good topic, that is science of mind in Philosophy family in this evening. I extend my pranam to all the senior scholars and teachers of our country and abroad to be with us in this Sunday webinar. Friends, we have already conducted more than 400 webinars on different fundamental issues of different topics, including philosophy, science, literature, and on different subjects. Today, Professor Ramanujan has agreed to be with us on this Sunday webinar to deliver on the science of mind. Before inviting him to speak on the scheduled topic, it's my privilege to speak a few words on his academic achievement and academic journey. Professor Alagar Ramanujan is an Indian scientist. He is a theoretical physicist in cosmology and gravitation. Formerly, he has acted as a principal and professor of professor of physics in NGM College, Pollachi, Tamil Nadu. Professor Ramanujan is associated in different forums, in different scientific forums. Professor Ramanujan is a life member of Indian Association for General Relativity and Gravitation. He is also life member in Indian Science Congress Association. Professor Ramanujan was also working in the areas of quantum mechanics and fundamental issues in physics, which remains unsolved right from the days of Newton. Professor Ramanujan, to his credits, has a number of books and articles published in different national and international journals. He has a wide reputation throughout our country and abroad, being a physicist and being a renowned scientist. Professor Ramanujan has also tried to deal with the fundamental issues of philosophy and yoga in terms of scientific analysis, and we have already witnessed the spirit of Ramanujan when he was discussing in an international forum in Utkal University, and he has motivated and inspired us by his philosophy, yoga with science. I bow down before him to be with us on this Sunday webinar. I also welcome Professor Pramod Kumar Das, the man who connected Professor Ramanujan to Philosophy family. He is the HOD, Philosophy, Noyagad Autonomous College. He is the admin and host and convener of philosophy family. We have with us Dr. K. Omnaran Rao of Logic and Philosophy in a government college of Odisha. With this, I once again express my welcome and gratitude to all the senior teachers, scholars of different disciplines to be with us to with Ramanujan in this Sunday webinar. I welcome everybody and I welcome Professor Ramanujan to comment his speech on science of mind. Over to Professor Ramanujan, sir.
Blessed, blessed, blessed. வாழ்க வையகம், வாழ்க வளமுடன். My pranams to my Guru, Sri Vedatri Maharishi. Dear friends, I am extremely happy to associate with you through this meeting and to get clarifications from you for the sum of the concepts that we have developed both in science and in philosophy. On the outset, my thanks to Dr. Kailash, who was nice enough to say so many good words about me, and also to Mr. Pramod Kumar and Mr. Narayan for having invited me personally to give a talk over this Sunday evening. So my special thanks are due to them. And it so happened I was a guest for a day in the residence of Mr. Pramod Kumar. So I enjoyed his hospitality and nice words and discussion, and I'm very happy that meeting has ended in meeting a greater number of philosophers. So today the topic is science of mind. If you ask somebody, what is mind? He will probably say, doesn't matter, all these things, doesn't matter. And if you ask, what is matter? He will say, never mind. So matter and mind, somehow these two words found a place in his conversation, but not knowing what they really mean. So today, when we say science of mind, we will first define or clarify what is science and what is philosophy. We are living, or we are part of the universe, which is nothing but collection of thousands and thousands and crores of stars. The universe is large enough, huge enough for us to imagine, but however, it has a limited dimension. Now the question is, who is the cause which became the universe or which created this universe? So gradually there came a concept that there must be a cause or the agent behind the universe. So the question is, who is the cause or what is the cause? Whose effect is our universe? So we see the universe as the effect of that cause. So we have now two entities. Now, of these two entities, there are some people who want to know, who are very serious about the functional aspect of the universe, how it functions, how the stars are formed, what is a feature of these stars, how the stars are held together. So the functional aspect of the universe. And they are not that much concerned about the cause of the universe. They are one set of people, and we call them scientists. They are more concerned about the laws operating in the universe and how the universe is functioning. But there is another set of people, they are not that much concerned about the universe functioning, but they are more concerned about the cause of the universe. So there is a group which is searching for the cause which became the universe. And now that group we call philosophers. Therefore, philosophers start their discussion from the cause, and from the cause they reach the effect, the universe. They travel from the cause to the effect. But the scientists, they start their journey from the effect, from the universe, and then they try to reach the cause. Therefore, scientists and philosophers, almost they are traveling along the same path, but in different directions. A philosopher starts his journey from the cause and tries to reach every point of the universe, the effect. So the seekers of the knowledge, they got it divided into two groups, philosophers and scientists. So from the philosopher point of view, in philosophy, we have so many words. Say, for example, Jivatma, Paramatma, Karma, all these things, terms which are very familiar with the philosophers. But with the scientists, all these things, all these jargons, Jivatma and Paramatma, the karma theory, they don't get deep into the science, but nowadays, the scientists also want to understand what these things are. What do they mean? Philosophy says the karma. What do we mean by karma? Philosophy says Jivatma. Now a scientist now asks, what do we mean by Jivatma? So for nowadays, scientists are more concerned about knowing about the terms which the philosophers are using. Therefore, nowadays, the science of mind usually it belongs to the philosopher's area, philosopher's field. But nowadays, scientists want to know, what does that mean? What do you mean by mind? And especially that mind, if I have a mind, where my mind is located. So what is the nature of my mind? Can I maneuver the mind or not? All these questions are there. So essentially speaking, if we say the universe, we are a part of the universe, and day by day we are discovering the laws of the universe, but we do not know who is the cause for all these things. Therefore, first, as a scientist, from the point of view of science, now we come to the term the mind. So to understand mind from a scientific point of view, now let us go to how the science developed and what is the present day science and how the science in the past developed and has come to a stage where it can discuss mind, Jivatma, Paramatma also. How the science developed to that extent. So when we say science, immediately the one who comes to our mind is Newton. He was born in 1642 in a place near London, UK. When we come to Newtonian science, Newton, in fact, wanted to become a Catholic father in a church. And in fact, he joined the course also, but he could not continue the course, and so he left it in the middle. Newton, partly he had a philosophical mind also. And one important philosophical saying which influenced Newton is the following. It's a Chinese a philosophical statement. Newton was very much impressed upon this. The saying goes like this: you cannot step into the same river twice. This is the statement which impressed Newton very much. You cannot step into the same river twice. Now the river is flowing. When you put the first step, okay, and when you remove the step from the water, and when you are going to place the second step, the river is no longer the same there. At that point, the river has changed. It has run to some distance, so it is no longer the same river, because the river is in motion. From this, Newton concluded that everything in the universe is in a state of motion. This is a great conclusion that Newton arrived at. There is nothing in the universe which we can say it is absolutely at rest. When we are sitting, it may look like that we are taking rest. We are simply sitting. But we have to remember, we have to remind ourselves that along with the earth, we are on a long journey in the cosmos around the sun. And the earth is spinning, and we are also spinning along with the earth. So we are in a very complicated motion, but still we feel as if we are at rest. Now Newton says, the universe is full of motion. So if I understand the motion, I will have understood the entire universe. That was his confidence. I am simply to understand the motion, the nature of motion. Then I will have understood the whole universe, how it functions. Therefore, he started his science first by framing 3 laws about the motion. And in physics or in science, even today, we call them the famous, the Newton's laws of motion. They are the base for all our science. Newton's 3 laws about the motion. When a student joins his degree class in physics, the first paper to teach him is Newton's laws of motion. So we have 3 laws of motion. And friends, if we can read simply the 3 laws of motion, simply read it, the first law will contain the word force. The second law also will contain the word force. But the third law, Newton could have said in terms of force, but he chose to use a different word. The Newton's third law is famous. Almost everybody knows that. And the law goes like this. For every action, there is equal and opposite reaction. Here, Newton could have said, for every force, there is equal and opposite force. Newton could have said like that. Because in the first 2 laws, he uses the word force. The word force is there in the law. But when he comes to the third law, he could have said, for every force, there is equal and opposite force. But he did not say like that. When he came to the third law, he says, for every action, there is equal and opposite reaction. Today in physics, it is a mystery why Newton did not use the word force in his third law. While he uses the word force in the first and second law, he did not use the word force in the third law. Maybe philosophers may have some answer. The difference between force and action. Newton very well could have said, for every force, there is equal and opposite force. He would have been right also. Instead, he says, for every action, there is equal and opposite reaction. Okay. So once he framed the 3 laws, from the second law, his second law, he derives the first ever equation in physics or in science. The first ever equation. Prior to Newton, people like Ptolemy, Aristotle were there. They were commenting upon the functional aspect of the universe also, but they were all saying those concepts only as statements. There was no practice of using mathematical language and writing equations. And Newton started first writing everything in a mathematical language with equation. So the first ever equation in physics was given by Newton, and that equation is a very simple but profound. F equals m times a. Simply saying F equals m into a, where m is the mass of a body, a is the acceleration with which it is moving. Here the beauty of this equation is, on the right hand side we have mass. That is visible, I can see the mass, visible. The right hand side contains acceleration. It is also visible. I can see a particle moving with acceleration, fast. Velocity goes on increasing. I can see with my vision. So M is visible, A is visible, but the product MA becomes the force non-visible, invisible. And, there is much philosophy in that. The product of two visible terms, visible items becoming invisible. The result F is invisible. And that is the beauty of the equation F equals MA. And then he started his physics, developed his physics, and around 1680, he collected all his equations, and he wrote a big volume called Newton's Principia, containing all his work in physics. It was a very famous book, Newton's Principia, which contains all his original work published in 1680. In that book, Newton will say, the aim of my science. What is the aim of my science? In that book, he will say, the aim of my science is to discover the cause, for the every effect I observe, till I arrive at the ultimate cause, which is certainly not mechanical. That is a vision of Newton. The ultimate cause will not be mechanical, he says. For all other things, the cause may be mechanical, but the ultimate cause may not be mechanical. It has to be governed by some other laws, not mechanical laws. That is a vision of Newton. So in 1680, he brought physics or the science to a respectable place, but in a very infant stage. It has not still become strong enough to discuss what is mind, what is Jivatma, what is Paramatma. The science has not developed that extent in Newton's days. But he laid the strong foundation so that later on, science becomes strong enough to discuss even the philosophical terms like mind, all these things. But before we see how science defines mind, how the approach of science towards mind, we have to see how it developed from an infant stage to that particular stage as a historical fact. So in Newton's science, after having said his aim is Newton says, I will go on till I arrive at the ultimate cause. So there Newton has clearly said the aim of the science to discover the ultimate cause finally. And that is why scientists nowadays, who are normally concerned about the functional aspect of the universe, they are slowly turning themselves towards the causation aspect, the cause of the universe. Slowly now they are turning their mind. Okay. In Newtonian, his work, he says further, I see the reality before me. I see the reality before me as a combination of four entities. That is how Newton starts his science. I see the reality before me as a combination of four entities. They are space, time, matter, and energy. They are the four independent entities. Newton treated them independent because in Newtonian time, he was of the opinion that matter is matter. It cannot become energy. Energy is energy. It cannot become matter. They are all independent. But usually in philosophy, we see the universe as a combination of five elements. Five elements. Say the combination of Akash, air, fire, liquid, and solid. But Newton sees the whole thing in a different way. All these five elements, he has condensed them into a single term, matter, that's all. All these five elements he calls matter. After having condensed all the five elements into matter, then he comes energy, different one. And then when there is a motion of matter, there comes a time. It is moving fast or it is moving slowly, that time comes. And for all this matter to move about, there is a space. So, in Newtonian science, space, time, matter, and energy are the four entities. And he made the statement that space contains nothing. Space is simply vacuum. It offers a background for the material particles to move. So he did not attach any great importance to space. It is simply a stage, he said. This whole space is vacuum. That is his concept of space. Okay. So with the four entities, with his laws of motion, he developed a science and he discovered so many things. Physics developed further and further and further and further. It is all a matter of dynamics. Everywhere it's a matter of dynamics. Heat, thermodynamics. Molecules, molecular dynamics. All in motion, that's all. So he was explaining everything. So from 1680 onwards, for about 200 years, 250 years rather, Newtonian mechanics or Newtonian science ruled the world of science. Till in 1900, a fine particle, an invisible fine particle called electron was discovered. So in 1900, one scientist by name J.J. Thomson discovered a particle which we now call very famous electron. Now, once that small particle electron was discovered, the Newtonian mechanics could not describe the motion of the electron. That means the motion of the electron did not obey Newtonian mechanics. First time the Newtonian mechanics fails there. So in fact, not only with the electron, when we go to elementary particles, proton, neutron, electron, for all these elementary particles, all the elementary particles, they do not obey Newtonian mechanics. Newtonian mechanics only gives wrong results there, which do not agree with the experimental data. So there was a heavy problem in science. It was a challenge in science. The Newtonian mechanics, which gave very good results at the cosmos level, at the macro level, is not giving the right result in the micro world. What to do? What are the laws to govern the micro world? It was a terrific worry for the scientists engaged in physics. What was a new theory for this? And at this juncture, when Newton was failing at the micro world, at this juncture came Albert Einstein. So when the whole world needs a new mechanics to deal with the elementary particles, Einstein's presence was there. Einstein was not a degree holder in physics. He was not that at all educated in the normal sense of the term. Somehow, by compulsion of his parents, somehow he joined a polytechnic, completed the course, and he became a clerk in a patent office in Germany. But though he did not receive any formal education, great education from the universities, he had his own interest to read as a free thinker. So Einstein developed reading physics as a free thinker, freelancer. And his first question was, Newton, such a genius, why his laws are failing in the micro world? Why? Why the particles in the micro world do not obey Newtonian mechanics? Why? That was a question raised by Einstein. And he gave the answer also. That Newtonian concept, there are four entities: space, time, matter, and energy. That four concepts he told, it was quite okay. But Newton is saying that they are all independent is a philosophical mistake that Newton has done. So Einstein was of the view that those four entities cannot be independent of each other. There must be a relation between the four. That they are independent, that saying of Newton is a philosophical mistake, philosophical error. That is why all his laws are failing when we come to the micro world. So for the micro world, we need a new mechanics, not Newton mechanics, a new mechanics, and that new mechanics and the relationship between the four quantities which were developed with Einstein as the leader. So Einstein, in his papers, in his published papers, he showed that matter and energy, they are not independent of each other. Matter can become energy, energy can become matter. So that was a very revolutionary concept at the time of Einstein. So Einstein published, and when I say published, initially when he said Newton's concept of independence between the four quantities is his philosophical error. The paper, Einstein's paper was rejected. So Einstein's paper, when he sent to the journal, his paper was rejected first. But still Einstein went on, establishing how his results ought to be right. Then after a great debate between the editor and himself, and then finally editor accepted to publish his paper. And the earth-shaking result was matter can be converted into energy, and the energy can be converted into matter by the famous, he gave a famous equation, energy equals mc square. So on the right hand side we have mass, on the left hand side we have energy. So the energy and matter are related. That is how he modified Newton. And you know, once E equal to mc square came out, then people thought that from the matter we can have a new source of energy. I can spend matter, get energy. So that is how the technology started developing in those days, in Einstein's days. How to get energy from the matter. And you know, historically, first time to show that E equal to mc square is experimentally right. Experimentally, that equation is right, was established by a lady German physicist called Lise Meitner. Lise Meitner, a lady professor, did the experiment and showed experimentally that E equal to mc square is right. Once she established that we can get energy from the matter, and things developed, and she also showed that by spending a small amount of matter, we can get a lot of energy. And people thought of building bombs out of this principle. And those bombs later on became atomic bombs. So Einstein's equation E equal to mc square completely revolutionized not only physics, but also our way of living also. So there was a heavy competition between the German scientist and the American scientist who will produce the atomic bomb first. And Einstein wrote to the then President of America that America must show enough interest in producing the atomic bomb, because at any time Hitler may produce the bomb and he may destroy the entire world. So he sent a letter to the American president that America should go first. And depending upon his letter recommended by Einstein, the American president ordered for the production of the atomic bombs. Before the German scientists were able to produce the first atomic bomb, the American scientists produced there, and you know that it was dropped in Japan, and the Second World War came to a close. So this E equal to mc square did a heavy job, both in physics and also in our way of life. Then around 1905, after the publication of the result E equal to mc square, then Einstein became very famous. very famous all over the world. Then he was a Jew, so he could not live in peaceful nature in his own country, German, because Hitler was against the Jews. So he had to leave his country. He came to America and he settled in America as a professor in Princeton University, New Jersey. Then, after having come over to United States, he started his going further in science in a very deep way. His thought was, Newton said there are 4 quantities, but now I have reduced them to 2 quantities. 2 quantities. What are the 2 quantities? It is not matter and energy, it is matter hyphen energy. Matter and energy are simply 2 parts of the same coin. So matter hyphen energy, one group. Similarly, space, it is not space and time. Space can become time, time can become space. So it is not space and time, it is space hyphen time. So space and time are again the 2 sides of another coin. Therefore, 4 quantities of Newton, they were reduced to 2 quantities. Space hyphen energy bracket, matter hyphen energy another bracket. Now Einstein thought, for having reduced the 4 to 2, I have become famous all over the world. And my equation E equal to mc square was used to stop the Second World War. They are so powerful enough. What if I can reduce the 2 to 1? How famous still I will become? And what more equations I will get, I do not know. So his next step was to reduce the 2 to 1. So he has reduced the 4 to 2. Now he wants to reduce the 2 to 1. What is the 1 which is really independent and all the 3 are dependent from that? Only 1 is independent. What is that 1? So he started in physics a new theory called Unified Field Theory, UFT. Unified field. There is only one entity which is independent. All other things are derivable from that. So he started after around 1915. 1915 around, he started his theory, unified field theory. But the problem for him, you have space, you have time, you have matter, you have energy. You have all the 4 quantities. Of these 4, which one I can keep really the starting fundamental? Which one? Should I keep the space, the one fundamental, and all other things derivable? Or should I take time? Or should I keep matter as a fundamental? He was not sure. Then all the 3, time, matter, energy, are from that, coming out of that, then he must that into matter. He has no answer for that. Therefore, friends, after 1920, around 1920, Einstein started this unified field theory. He wanted to reduce the four quantities of Newton to one. And for next 34 years, he was thinking about that. No publication. After 1920 or 22, Einstein had no publication at all. Till 1954, when he died. All the 34 years he spent in trying to locate what is that one from which everything has come out. He could not locate that one. But at some point of time, Einstein thought of space, time, matter, and energy. Which one I can locate as a fundamental, really one? Maybe if I read philosophical text, that may give me some clue. Therefore, the fag end of his life, Einstein started reading philosophy, including Indian philosophical systems. He thought somewhere in philosophy, there will be a word, there will be a clue for me to decide. So later on, rather he became a student of philosophy. A world-renowned scientist became a student of philosophy. But the point is that he could not locate that one. And in 1954, he passes away. As a German, a famous scientist, he passed away in the land of America. And his sons, two sons, they did not like to celebrate his father's death in a foreign country like America. Therefore, his sons, Einstein's sons, wrote to the president then in 1954, we want to make the death ceremony of our father as simple as possible. So no scientists visiting us, no officials visiting us. We don't expect anybody. We don't want anybody here. It is a small, closed family affair. They wrote to the then American president because being German, they did not want a German scientist to be celebrated in the American soil. So they wanted to keep the whole ceremony as simple as possible. But then the American government made a request to the sons, Einstein's sons. Yes, we won't be making it too much, but still, for our record, Albert Einstein is no more, and he died at this place, at this time. For our record, we need our record. So for our record purpose, we will send only one photographer to photograph everything, the whole ceremony. And his sons accepted that there was only one photographer to cover the entire procedure. But it was kept as a small, very small family affair with about 10 to 15 people to attend. That's all. The photographer from the Time magazine. The photographer came and he saw only very few people attending the death ceremony. And he had an inquisitive mind. On the last day of his work in the department, what books Einstein would have read. The photographer wanted to know. And then straight he went to Einstein's department. It was under lock and key. The key was with the watchman. He requested the watchman to give the key for a few minutes, that's all. But the watchman was under strict instruction not to give the key to anybody for the next few months. But he requested again and again. to say he even bribed him that to get the key. He got the key, opened the department. From being outside, he just took a photograph of the books on Einstein's table. It was all philosophy books, some books from the Indian philosophy side. So on the final days of Einstein, he became a student of philosophy. He wanted some clue from the philosophy to locate what is that one, but he could not. So anyway, it's a great thing about Einstein that when he reduced the 4 to 2, Einstein moved science towards Advaita philosophy. Because he has moved it from 4 to 2. So he has moved science from the pluralism towards the Advaita. And so that later on, anybody can make somebody may have the genius to make the 2 to 1. So after Einstein, now the development is, now I come to the third development. Okay. Now in the third development, I meet a great thinker called Vedatri Maharishi from Tamil Nadu. He is a great freelance thinker. Now, how he moves from Einstein still further. So friends, only when we complete how the science is still taken further from Newton, from Einstein, how still further by Vedatri Maharishi, then the science becomes powerful enough, strong enough to discuss what is mind and what is Jivatma, what is Atma, all those things. So we have to develop the contribution from Vedatri Maharishi towards this trend. 4 entities becoming 2 and 2 entities to become 1. So friends, this topic, it is too much to be finished within this stipulated time. Therefore, today we will discuss how science is taken further beyond Einstein by Vedatri Maharishi. And then next week or so, with that develop the strength, what the science says about mind and other philosophical terms. So today we will come up to Vedatri Maharishi's work, taking science beyond Einstein. So now Maharishi revisits again Newton. So according to Newton, he says, I see the reality before me as a combination of 4 entities: space, time, matter, and energy. Vedatri Maharishi accepts this and then says, of these 4, which one we can keep really the fundamental? Really, which one the fundamental? See, the approach of Vedatri Maharishi is the following. If I take matter, matter remains fragmented. Sun is a form of a matter. And at a distance, another place, another sun, another star. So matter is there, but fragmented. Okay. But we want something to cover everything, to cover even beyond the universe. Because the cause which has produced the universe or which has become the universe must be greater enough, greater than the universe itself. That's one argument. The cause which produced the universe must be greater than the universe itself. So, in that way, if we see, Maharishi asserts that of the four quantities, space is there. Space is inside the universe, and also it is beyond the universe. Universe is limited, but the space goes beyond the universe. Beyond means how much? Unlimited. So of these four, there is one thing which is everywhere, which is even beyond the universe also. Therefore, all these considerations, suppose we have a room. In the room, space is there. All other objects and material objects are there. Now, I can ask somebody to remove the material objects out of the room. They were brought inside the room. I can ask somebody to remove all the material objects, chair, sofa, this and that, outside the room. But you cannot remove the space and bring it outside the room. Space is there. It was there. It will be there. Because in the room, nobody placed the space. If somebody has placed the space inside, I can remove it. But it was not placed at a point of time. Space was there already, is there, and will be there forever. Therefore, space has a significance. Therefore, in Swamiji's philosophy, space is the single entity. And out of the space has come time, matter, and energy. So Maharishi completes the Advaita theory. So he has brought science to be in tune with the Advaita theory. Einstein started with Newton started with 4, Einstein made it to 2, now Vedatri Maharishi has made it to 1, the space. And then he now differs very much from Newton, because Newton has said space is nothing, but Maharishi says space is everything. So after 300 years or so, there is a complete change of approach between Newton and Vedatri Maharishi. Space is everything. And his argument is very simple. Maharishi's argument is very simple. See, out of the space came everything. The tree, the particles, water, matter, everything out of that. And the whole universe is out of that. And in the whole universe, if we see, okay, suppose let us see a living person, a tree, or a man, a snake, okay, a snake, a tree, a man. Apparently they look different. But Maharishi says space has become the snake, the very same space has become the tree, the very same space has become the human being. Now, if we see all these things, apparently they are different, but there is a common thing between them. Everything functions. A snake functions. A tree grows, it functions. A human being runs, he functions. Therefore, functional aspect is there for all the three. Therefore, a snake to function needs energy. The tree to grow needs energy. The human mind, the human person to run needs energy. Therefore, everybody is of energy. And then Maharishi says, not only they function with an order. There is an order of function. There is a function in the snake, but there is also an order of function. In what way it goes, it thinks. In what way to grow, the tree thinks. In what way to go, the human being thinks. So not only there is a function, there is an order of function also. Now this order of function, Vedatri Maharishi calls, it is there due to the presence of consciousness. So the snake has consciousness and energy. The tree has consciousness and energy. The human being has consciousness and energy. And if all the three things have consciousness and energy, they have all come from space. So all these energy and consciousness must have been in the space itself in the beginning. Otherwise, if the space has no consciousness, the man who evolves from that cannot have consciousness. If the space doesn't possess potential energy, the tree out of that cannot have energy. Therefore, Maharishi says, this vast space, which is even beyond the universe, which goes further and further without any limit, boundaryless. This space is boundaryless. This space is eternal. It was there, it is today, it will be forever. So it is eternal, it is boundaryless, and it is of the space is of consciousness. The space is of energy. Therefore, Vedatri Maharishi attributes by a logical process, very logical process, space is of everything. See the drastic change of approach. Newton said space is nothing. It is all vacuum. But Vedatri Maharishi says space is everything. Space is of consciousness. Space is of energy. Space is boundaryless. Space is eternal. Therefore, the single entity space, and from space evolved all the other three things: time, matter, and energy. So time, matter, and energy, they are dependable, they are derivable. But space is underivable, because that is the beginning. Prior to the space, we can't speak of anything. It is underivable. Because space is infinite. If it is to be derived from something else, that something else also must be infinite, but we cannot have two infinities. That's not logical. Therefore, since space is infinite, it cannot be derived from another infinite. There cannot be two infinites. Therefore, Maharishi's concept, space is underivable. It's a beginning. All other things are derivable from space. That is why all other things, your Akash particles, your air, fire, water, liquid, matter, everything is derivable from space. And since space is of consciousness and energy, everything we see around us has both to a fractional aspect. So nowadays, after Maharishi, now we are writing a new science. In the new science, let us say the electron. The electron is out of space. Space is of energy and consciousness. Therefore, electron also has a tinge of energy and a tinge of consciousness. Now, before Vedatri Maharishi, in the conventional physics, but we don't speak of the consciousness of the electron. No physics teacher tells in the class that electron has consciousness. Now our approach is different. Whatever I see, it has consciousness. It has energy. Therefore now we have come to a level where the whole universe, which is full of particles, every particle is of space, and every particle is by space. So if you take any particle, say proton, it is of space and it is by space. Proton is made by space. Proton is made of space also. So the material cost for a proton, the material cost is space, and the efficient cost also is space. Right. Now we have come to a different level of science. To this science, Maharishi adds one more. And it is here, this addition is a tremendous contribution to science and also to philosophy. It is here with this, we will be able to discuss what is mind very easily. Now, what is the contribution to science at this level of approach by Maharishi? Okay. I will discuss that also today to complete the lecture. And the next lecture, with all these things, then we will go to discuss about the mind, its nature, its behavior, and how do we maneuver. All these things we will discuss after the next lecture. Now today we will finish with one more contribution from Maharishi. Now, initially, the space is there. So if I am to write the biography of the whole universe, if I am to write, where do we start? Once upon a time, there was space. Pure space. No manifestation. Pure space alone. Space alone. Then from there, from the space, developed. What developed? Then and there, localized spinning. You know, in the atmospheric air, when a localized spinning develops, we call it a storm. We change the name storm. It is again air, but it is a localized spinning is there. When the spinning motion is added there, there's a different state. Same air, but in a different state. To refer to the state, we use a different term, storm. So a storm is nothing but air in spinning. Similarly, in space, space of energy and consciousness. In this space, then and there developed localized spinning motion, highly localized spinning motion. When a spinning motion, a localized spinning motion developed, it is against space, but with a localized spinning. So to give importance to the state, we have changed the name of that localized state. You call it a proton. Depending upon the speed of the spinning, depending upon how much speed the spinning is there, you call it different names. You call it a proton, or you call it an electron, or you call it a neutron, or some other particle. All the particles are nothing but space with a spinning motion, localized spinning motion. Therefore, in Maharishi's concept, space and the matter, the material particles are related. Space and matter are related. How? It is a space, and in the space, a localized spinning motion becomes matter. Therefore, matter is nothing but space, but with localized motion. Now you see, Einstein linked matter and energy, but he could not link space and matter. Had he succeeded in linking space and matter, he would have declared space is the beginning. Space is the unified one. But he did not, he could not link space with matter. All that Einstein did was, he linked matter and energy. But here, Vedatri Maharshi links space and matter. And so he can say space is the one independent, because it is this space which is going to become the matter. How? By developing localized spinning. Friends, one more point here, that's all, to finish today's lecture. One more point. Just imagine, it's a very important point. Just imagine space. It is a ocean of consciousness. In our approach, space is a ocean of consciousness. In that consciousness develops a spinning motion. It becomes a particle. Your name is particle. As the particle is spinning, as a consequence of the spinning motion, that spinning motion produces a wave in consciousness. Suppose you have still water. In the still water, at one particular place, you put your finger and make a small spinning. Once you make a small spinning, you are giving a disturbance. Because of this disturbance, there will be ripples over water surface. There will be ripples. Similarly, when the electron comes or when the proton comes rotating, spinning, because of its spinning motion, it produces or it develops or it becomes a cause for the production of ripples, waves in consciousness. This entity, waves in consciousness, is something new both to science and philosophy. It is here, with this new concept, we will be tackling the concept of mind. It is an essential point. The present day science talks waves in solid matter, waves in earth, it talks about. If there is an earthquake, there is a wave in the solid earth, shock waves, they call it. We talk of waves in water. We talk of waves in air. we talk of waves in Akash medium, but science does not talk about waves in consciousness. Now, Maharishi's contribution is there are waves in consciousness. How it is produced? Space develops a localized spinning. The localized spinning, you call it a matter, electron or proton or neutron, as a byproduct, as a side product, that is spinning electron or proton produces a waves in space. And these waves are going on, enlarging. So every fine particle, including Akash particles, because of its spinning, is producing waves all over. Therefore, friends, when we consider the whole universe, the universe is not only a collection of particles, and it is also a collection of waves produced by the particles. So the science today is not talking about the consciousness and the waves in them. And that is the limitations of the modern science. And we have to remove the limitations of modern science to discuss, to bring mind, Jivatma, Paramatma into science. Therefore, the approach that we have is that the new contribution is that universe not only contains collection of particles, whether you call it a star or planets, all the same, collection of particles, not only that, it contains also the collection of waves in consciousness. Friends, it is this collection of waves in consciousness science is going to call the dark energy, which it is talking about. Science today is in the need of some energy, some waves, it is in need of that, but it does not know how that need to be fulfilled, where the new energy, new waves will come from. And here is the answer. These waves in consciousness are going to become, are what the science is searching for, the dark energy. Therefore, today we will finish the discussion with this. Therefore, today we have seen how the science has developed itself to an extent where it can see a particle as made of space, and where it can produce a wave in consciousness also. With this equipped science, next class we will see what is the nature of mind and what is mind. Here afterwards it is easy to see everything in detail. Okay, it is time for me to finish, and I am very happy to discuss these developments in science with the philosophers, and maybe when I am given the next time, okay, with this science developed, I can approach to the answer, what is the science of the mind? How do we understand the mind? Essentially, to understand the mind, I need the waves in consciousness. It is the waves in consciousness, finally they are going to become the mind. So we have to see the link in the next class. Thank you very much for this opportunity. I cherish this opportunity. My thanks to all those concerned who have given me this opportunity. Thank you very much. Any questions, I will be happy to answer.
Okay, thanks so much, sir, Professor Ramanujan, sir, for the thought-provoking speech on science of mind. It is also very much technical. Sir, being a renowned theoretical physicist and lover of philosophy, you have made a very beautiful conceptual analysis of the four realities, the space, time, matter, and energy, as the independent entities from scientific point of view and philosophical point of view. And you have also started from the Newton age as four independent realities, and you have reflected that in Einstein time it has reduced to two, and Mahorshi has reduced it to one, that is space. It's said to be the most fundamental entities, and at which contains everything, and which is infinite, and everything that is space. And I don't want to speak much because of the paucity of time. Now, I would like to request Professor K. Umanana Rao to interact with the audience and learning scholars. Over to Professor Rao.
Yes, namaskar everybody. Thank you so much, sir, for a thought-provoking lecture. Well, a lot of things we learned, and really it has helped all of us in understanding the developments in science. And it is happy that the science is also going the Advaitic way. So the four fundamental realities finally turning up to be one in space. So it's a great take from you, and welcome questions from the audience. Well, if they have questions, they can pose. Otherwise, I have certain clarifications to make. Well, anybody, any question, they can unmute and they can raise a question. Well, let me check the chat box. Well, there was some disturbance in the network. The chat box is totally empty. Well, sir, acha.
Hello.
Yes, sir. Srinivasan, sir. Yes, sir. Continue. Yes, sir.
Good evening, all intellectuals, professors, academicians, and for the Philosophy Forum. I am greatly indebted to them because they are trying to educate everyone who is here to listen to such a great man like Mr. Ramanujan, who gave a wonderful lecture. I am thankful to him. But the main point is, sir, you know that there is always a conflict between the Sat and the Asat. The Sat is existent, the Asat is non-existent. So, what Newton has said and what Vedatri Maharshi has said, in my perception, has no relevance at all, because it is already said in Rig Veda that Mr. Norman Brown has explained Vedic man did consider that there were in the cosmos two kinds of beings more powerful than humans, whom he could influence. They were the gods, and the demons or the Rakshasas. The gods were kind of bureaucracy administering and enforcing the Rita. They and human beings were held to occupy the surface of the earth, the vault of the heaven, and in the mid-air. Between these two, this part of the cosmos was known as the Sat, which Vedatri Maharshi says it as consciousness, is absolutely right. But there is something more than that. The Sat is there, there is always an Asat. You know about the demons and the Padala Loga and other things. I don't want to go deep into that subject and then confuse the people here. But Adi Shankara Charya has already said that beyond this space, there is one unmanifest called the Brahman. That is why he invoked the theory of Advaita philosophy, Brahma Satyam Jagan Mithya Jivo Brahmaiva na Apara. So under such circumstances, both Newton and Vedatri Maharshi has fallen apiece. So in which I have nothing to say on that, but still it is only for the mundane people who are living in this empirical reality who can believe that Vedatri Maharshi and Newton has spoken about this consciousness as a space which is beyond my comprehension, because he's already said about the unmanifestation. So what is your take on this matter, sir? Please.
Very happy for the clarifications and the points you have offered. in Maharishi's approach, it's a logical approach. So then and there, we will have agreement with Vedic sayings. Agreement will be there. Then and there, our approach may differ also, may differ. Now, one thing that Maharishi differs is that, as you said, beyond space is conceived an entity called Brahman.
Yes.
But Maharishi's concept, since space itself is infinite, space is eternal, space is of energy and consciousness, we can consider space itself
Yes.
Brahman. That's
No,
not his
no.
approach. Maybe
No,
it
his
may be
approach.
coinciding
Yes.
with already existing approach, but his approach, I am making it clear. Whether I am not saying it's right
Because
or wrong,
excuse
but
me.
his approach is space itself may be considered as Brahman. That's his approach.
No. Why I refute
Okay,
is
okay,
he is defying Rig Veda.
yeah, okay,
He is defying Rig Veda.
okay. That's right, that's right. As I said, there will be agreement with already said Vedic statements, and there will be also disagreement. That's true. That's true. Now, Maharishi prefers to call the space itself as Brahman.
Yes. Well, a small interruption to this question. What Srinivasan Krishnamurthy sir, what Vedatri Maharishi is trying to say is that he is taking space as the fundamental reality, and that is through this universe and also beyond. The approach here is quite clear and simple. The world that we are in is not Maya. The way Sankara takes, Vedatri Maharishi is not taking this world as a product of Maya. It is as much real as the space that we see beyond this universe. And
Yes.
you see, this structural world in which we live is a part and parcel of the space. It's an outcome of the space. Because
Very
this
good.
space is charged with consciousness and energy.
Good.
So when consciousness and energy they get manifested, energy, you see, Einstein has mathematically proved that energy gets transformed into matter, and that's why we have material forms. It is
Yes.
quite different from what Sankara has got to say. Sankara, well, even Sankara, even though he says this world is a product of Maya, but actually he's not saying that it's a product of Maya. Even he believes in this reality the way Vedatri Maharishi is taking this issue, because he is not dividing space. You see, entire things. This world itself is a product of space, and anything beyond this world is again a part, is again space. So that's how, since space is charged with both energy and consciousness, and the world that we live in, they are the products of space, and the very formulations that Professor Ramanujan sir has provided, it's a clear message to say that space can be taken as a fundamental reality from which everything has come out. Well, and the argument that he has taken is the cause which he was trying to find out the fundamental reality, and he said cause must be greater than the effect. If you take this universe as an effect, the cause must be greater than it, because beyond this universe you can think of an empty space, and nothing greater than this empty, nothing greater can be conceived, okay, apart from this space, because the space is there herein and also beyond. So that's the argument, logical argument that Professor Ramanujan is putting before us, taking
Good,
the message
good.
from Vedatri
Agreed.
Maharishi. Okay.
Agreed.
Okay, may I interpret for a moment here?
One more thing, then we can move on. One more thing is, the only requirement now is a mathematical formulation, the way Einstein has brought in a mathematical formulation connecting energy and mass. Well, the great take from Maharishi is space is the ultimate reality. It's a great challenge for the scientific world now to come forward to formulate a mathematical equation the way Einstein has formulated a mathematical equation
Good,
to show the equality of space. Okay, a formulation to connect space with energy, to connect space with matter, to connect space with
Good,
matter.
good.
So that way we can develop Maharishi's idea in a positive way, bringing in science to the future generation. This is my
Sir,
understanding.
may I intercept here for a moment, please?
Yes, allowed.
Sir, because you are speaking only in terms of materialistic evolution of the human beings, but not the spiritualistic evolution of human beings.
No, no,
As
no, no.
Sankhya philosophy says,
The space itself is totally spiritual because it is charged with consciousness. The spiritual things that we
sir,
talk of is nothing but consciousness. Even
when
though you talk of
consciousness comes,
Brahman,
spirituality comes automatically.
sir,
Sir, you please listen to me for a minute. You please listen for a minute. I have not completed. See, the whole world is, the universe is created only through Purusha and Prakriti or the Pradhana entanglement. So the whole thing, concepts has come down from Pradhana, which is Prakriti. From Prakriti has come the Manobuddhi Chitta Ahankara. From Manobuddhi Chitta Ahankara, the Pancha Karmendriyas and Jnanendriyas and Tanmatras, and then the space, air, fire, water, and earth. So there is a total difference between Vedatri Maharshi's, theory of, kind of consciousness and also Newton's theory of power. This is my perception. That's all.
but the fundamental question goes again, what is this Purusha again? Can you talk of evolution with Prakriti alone? Is not a play. What is the role of Purusha then? That Purusha,
Purusha is the manifest, sir, Purusha is the manifested part of unmanifest.
yes, no. You see, Purusha is always, you see, when it comes in contact with Prakriti, then it gets manifested. Otherwise, Purusha is ever free.
No,
It is
no.
consciousness.
You are defying the theory of Sankhyan theory of evolution. Purusha and Prakriti are two entities. Purusha
That is
has got life, but it is not productive and produced. It has neither brain or anything like that, but it can understand whatever it comes to his sight. That's
no.
what Purusha is, a manifested product of unmanifest.
Okay,
That is Sankhya philosophy.
you may take when you talk of the Sankhya, say the dualistic mode that you talk of in Sankhya with Purusha and Prakriti dualism, that has sidelined in Vedanta. Okay, everything is starts with that space. That Vedatri Maharshi is defining the same thing
No,
in a different way. That pure consciousness.
no. Space, I am
Well,
sorry to differ with you. I don't agree with
Das
that.
has got to
Please.
say something. Well, yes, sir. We noted your point. We noted your point. Going on with your questioning, and we'll move to Pramod Das sir for
Yeah.
to add up something so that we can have a very good discussion out of this. Yes,
Thank you.
Professor Das.
Namaste, very good evening. I really enjoyed this talk, and the talk of Professor Ramanujan is always wonderful. So, I shall say, whenever we are giving a model, every model is a speculation.
Very good.
So, don't quarrel. There should not be any quarrel between Advaita and Dvaita, Sankhya and Sankara. What Sankhya said, that is a speculation.
Sorry, it is not a quarrel. It is an interdialogue. That's all.
It is a quarrel because it is a category mistake. When we are talking about Advaita, we should not take any category to interpret it. When we are talking about the philosophy of Srinivasan Dr. Srinivasan what he is saying, that is a model. That is not final. And that should not be interpreted with crores of people, because crores of people have their own models. So Sankhya has given a dualistic model. That's all right. When we are discussing about Sankhya, we shall discuss in that perspective. But here is a gentleman, the Guru, the seer, the Maharshi, is giving a model only. One may not accept it because this webinar is not the final webinar. This discussion is not the final discussion. So he is giving the model, the space as the ultimate source. Physically, conceptually, and spiritually, and he is explaining that because something must be greater in principle. Then speculatively we say Brahman, How can we prove it? So we have to prove how Brahman is the ultimate principle. If Maharshi is proving that how space is the ultimate principle, so there is no problem. It is a model. Similarly, Sankhya is giving its own argument. Similarly, Naya Vaiseshika, those who are pluralistic systems, they are giving their models. Buddha is giving the model of a nihilism, that means Sunyata. So there are been different models. Okay. So as a student of philosophy or a professor of philosophy, even a man of science also, we should have a very compromising mind, very neutral mind, very flexible mind to accept different perspectives from perspectives. That is the first thing. Otherwise, we can't enter into any discussion. That is very scientific way of understanding. Because if I am attending the mathematics class, I shall not go with poetry. I shall not go with history. Because every class has its own discipline. Okay. So suppose somebody is speaking about Advaita, then there are many isms which will come forward to fight with Advaita. It is not that. Whatever we are giving, that is a model, and this model is not final. But we have to justify that model as the best model. Every philosopher will say that my philosophy is the best. So here Maharshi is saying that this speculation is a best speculation, is a very good speculation because of these logical reasons, because of spirituality also, because it is all pervasive. It is all pervasive. Okay. So I congratulate the speaker for having a very wonderful discussion, and it is very thought provoking, extempore, and very creative, and he is very honest in presenting his own ideas. And I am giving the next date, that may be 19th February. If you agree, then you can complete your lecture on
Okay.
19th February. That is also
Good.
that is also Sunday.
Okay, that will be completed then.
Yes,
One
yes,
more lecture completed.
yes, sir, yes, sir. Thank you. Now
Thank you. Thank
Over to Dr. Rao. I have no comment. I agree with he, Professor Ramanujan.
Energy with mass.
Yes,
So
nice.
already an equation connecting energy and mass. The only
Nice.
thing that is required is an equation connecting space and energy. If this equation is formulated, it would be a real thing that we can find from the platform of science and philosophy.
I
So
see the
those
point.
things-
Nice. I see the point. Very good.
Sir. So the entire connectivity can be brought in. But when we talk of time, time has a connectivity with space. Okay. Well, there is no problem with time because time has a connectivity with space. Because space is eternal, it is all pervasive, but spaces are divided. We have individual spaces. When we talk of the universe, we have individual spaces. The space in my room, the space in the hostel, the space outside my room. So spaces can be divided. So since the spaces are divided, they are localized there. So when they are localized, in those localized spaces, different events occur and different periods of time. So that's why how whenever we talk of a space, we need to link time with it. So when you talk of something happening in space, we need to say about the time. So
Yes.
how okay, when we say something, an event has occurred, we need to bring in time.
Yes.
Even though when you talk of time, this thing has happened, we need to associate space with it. So space and time can be linked, and that linkage has been already established by Einstein. Space
Yes.
and time has to be related. The
Yes.
only thing, the only job that is now left is to find a connecting equation between space and energy. Once this equation is
Nice.
established,
Nice.
everything can be defined so clearly and nicely. And you are the forerunner on this issue, going under the lines of Vedatri Maharishi. A great evening today, sir, because a great equation, great thing that you have asserted before. Thanks a lot.
Thank
Yes,
you.
sir.
Thank
Yes,
you.
sir. Yes, sir. Yes, already. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Already you have said that, and Srinivasanji wants to say something. Yes, sir. Welcome, sir. Srinivasanji.
Sir, you allowing, rather giving freedom of speech in the sense that you are trying to overrule on others.
No,
This
no,
is
no.
something
Carry on, sir.
unacceptable.
Carry on. Carry on. Carry on, sir. Carry on, sir. Your views, sir. Your views are.
So
See.
I've already given my view.
No,
He says the admin is telling I'm quarreling. I'm not quarreling. I'm trying to argue over the
no,
winning
no,
over
no,
the
no,
argument.
no.
That's all.
Have your opinion, sir. Have your opinion, sir. Have
The
your opinion.
opinion is not taken for granted. He says
No,
it
no,
is a
no, no, no.
model.
It
Whereas
is.
Advaita is a model. Sankhya is a model.
Yes,
Yes, agreed. But
yes.
when something goes against, they are talking only in terms of empirical reality and not the causal reality. That is what my perception.
No, no, no. So Vedatri Maharshi is so much clear in bringing cause to the framework of science.
Sir, that is for the common man, sir, not for
No,
the spiritualistic inclined people.
you see, no, this is lot of spiritual content is contained here. When is Vedatri
Then,
Maharshi?
then let him please tell. Then let him please tell about the spiritualistic attitude of Sri Vedadri Maharishi.
You see, when he says it is charged with consciousness, that is the spiritual aspect. Nothing more we can add up, because when he says
No,
spirit is
no,
charged with
that is
consciousness,
not convincing. I can quote from Rig Veda, the Nasadiya Suktam, which speaks about the Sat and Asat. Yes, sir. Yes. No, no, that's the question not to be answered here. No,
you see, Krishnamurti
spirituality
sir,
is to understand about the unmanifest,
no,
the Brahma.
sir,
Yes.
sir, Krishnamurti sir,
Yeah, from the from the
yes, very nice, and it is beyond, and also beyond. Yeah. Sir, Krishnamurti sir, one thing I say, even the unmanifest can be reached only through the manifest. How to take the unmanifest if without taking into consideration the manifest? It is through it is through the
naturally, it is
channel of the
not possible
manifest when we
otherwise.
can reach the unmanifest. So
But they,
manifest is the vehicle to
I understand,
realize
sir.
the unmanifest. So
But these people,
that
they
is the
stop only at the manifested level, not at the
But
unmanifest level.
no,
That
no,
is what I am
but
trying to.
sir, Dr. Rao,
sir.
but the difference is that here we are talking about space, there they are talking about Brahman.
Yeah,
This is the difference.
Yes,
So
yes.
yeah.
difference is granted because we can't have one
Yes.
guru and one theory for the whole mass.
But the thing
That
is, but
that
the
is
thing
not
is,
that is not the secular way of thinking.
no, no, but you're right, sir. You're right, sir. But one thing that I learned from Professor Ramanujam is he has tried to see define reality from a scientific way.
Very scientific, very good, very good, very good.
In a scientific way, the same thing. The space that Ramanujam sir is trying to define is nothing but the Brahman, but with a scientific terminology. So that is the problem to understand.
So the
That's
point is,
right. Hmm,
science may challenge Brahman, but
But they not
science cannot challenge
space.
space.
Okay,
So
but
when we are talking about that one principle
that is nothing but Brahman.
in the scientific term,
Yes,
that is
yes.
space,
Hmm. It is,
and we are explaining that ultimate principle with mathematical equations.
Why?
That is the great thing. That is the great
Okay,
achievement of
Krishnamurti
science.
sir,
I accept both of you what you say. But you know, recently the three nuclear physicists have declared that the whole world is Maya. That Maya means Advaita philosophy. What do you say for the Vedadi
No,
Maharaji,
no, no,
Newton, and
no,
the
no, no,
time
no,
state?
no, Srinivasan ji, the
Yeah,
common sense understanding of Maya is what exactly Maya is. Maya is there if you are ignorant.
yeah,
Maya is not there if you are identified with the whole. So far
Yeah.
as you are not identified with the whole,
Yeah.
you see Maya and you are in Maya. So
Yeah.
Maya means understanding the whole as a part. Maya
To
means
get rid of
understanding,
ignorance.
but that understanding, misunderstanding, that avidya is personal. So
Yes.
from the personal avidya, you see the cosmic Maya. So that means there is an epistemic gap between the lower level of consciousness and a higher level of consciousness, and Maya
Yeah.
exists in between these two levels of consciousness. So
Yes.
when Maharshi is speaking about space, he is not in Maya because he is visualizing the whole. When Shankara is speaking about Brahman, he is not in Maya. He is speaking of Maya for the common people who are ignorant.
Yes.
Similarly, Lord Krishna was not in Maya because he had his own Vishwarupa Darshana. But
Yeah.
Arjuna was in Maya because Arjuna was thinking Lord Krishna as a
Yeah.
layman, as a friend. But
Yes.
that friend is the whole. Of that, Arjuna was ignorant. So Maya means the limit to your knowing the whole.
Exactly.
When you have limited, you are limited by your knowing. Epistemologically, you are limited to know the whole. So that is Maya. Otherwise, there is no Maya for the learned man, for the man of wisdom. So when
Yeah.
we are discussing about the unmanifest and manifest in term of space or in term of Brahman, in both
Brahman.
the cases, the knowledgeable man or the self-realized person is not in Maya. So Maya is for the ignorant people. Brahma Satya Jagat Mithya. Here Jagat
Yeah.
is Mithya for those who do not know Brahman. Once you
Yes.
know Brahman, that is neither world nor Maya. Everything is Brahman. I am Brahman. You are Brahman. Okay? There is no second. There is no the other. If there is an other, that is Maya. Maya means to see the other, but there is no other. You are Brahman or you are the space. So language is different. But the plus point of Maharishi is that when we are knocking at the door of space, we are opening the door of science. When we
Okay.
are knocking at the door of Brahman, there we are knocking the door of spiritual sadhana, which may be difficult for scientists to understand. But when we are talking about space, that is very much common sense. That is very much scientific. Okay, so the approach is different. One is the scientific approach when we are talking about space, and the other is, in your language, the spiritualistic approach when we are talking about Brahman.
The universal of this, I mean, sorry, this thing, not my own. It is an universal accepted form.
Nothing should be universally accepted. That is wrong in science and philosophy because science itself declares that everything is relative. There is
You
no
will never believe
conclusion. There is no conclusion in science. Similarly, there is no conclusion in philosophy. So both
it.
physics
Sir,
and metaphysics belong to a dialectical order. If there is
okay.
physics, metaphysics is its limit. If there is
Yes.
metaphysics, physics is its limit. So we cannot say that any one of them is a complete science. Okay, we shall conclude
Oh,
here. Okay, Dr. Srinivasan ji, thank you for your
yeah.
contribution. Now
I'm very happy.
we shall end here
Thank you. Thank you. Thank
and
you.
now go for a vote of thanks because
Yes,
it is
thank you.
8:30.
Thank you, thank you, thank you so much, Professor Das and Professor Krishnamurti sir. Well, the debate goes on, but one thing let me tell you in one line: the true knowledge of Maya is also essential. The true knowledge of Maya is also essential. I say essential because the moment you know that you are in Maya, the moment you know that you are in Maya, you are free from Maya. The realization that you are in Maya liberates you from Maya to that spiritual height that you're talking of. Okay, so the knowledge of Maya is also essential. because this knowledge, that's true knowledge, liberates you from Maya. Okay, that's the final take I take. Well, let's move to Dr. Kailas Maharana, sir, for proposing a vote of thanks, with personally thanking Professor Ramanujam, sir, and Pramod Das, sir, and Srinivas and Krishnamurti, sir, and others for carrying on this discussion so nicely. Over to Kailas Maharana, sir, for proposing a formal vote of thanks.
Okay, thanks. Okay, okay, thanks, Professor Rao. So today we all enjoyed the talk of Professor Ramanujan, who tried to reduce the four fundamental realities to one fundamental reality, that is space, from which everything comes. And Professor Ramanujan had taken the development of science and the history of the scientific development on the fundamental realities from Newtonian aspects, from Einstein aspects, and from the work and sadhana made by Mahasi. And he has tried to give that this space is nothing but an ocean of consciousness. And today we are very fortunate to have him with us, because he is a great scholar and stalwart in science in the entire globe. So we extend our gratitude on the behalf of philosophy family to Professor Ramanujan for his creative thinking, for his and this creative deliberation, as Professor Das has told, that Professor Ramanujan is a creative scientist, he's a creative thinker and creative presentator, and who has combined both science and spirituality into one form. And today, who had amazed us, the discussion made by Professor Srinivasan has also uh, has also very amazing, and he has tried to put his observation from the model of Sankhya, and it is also very creative. And today, the entire discussion has been beautifully summarized and analyzed by Professor Dr. K. Ovanan Rao. First, has tried to summarize.
Sir, you're not audible, sir. You're not audible. You're not
And
audible. Kailash, sir, you're not audible.
I
Sir, you're not audible.
think, okay.
Great. Thank you. Thank you.